Hello, and welcome to our 11th video in our series about the North Node in the signs. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Well, today we're going to tell you what it's like when you have the North Node in Aquarius in your natal chart, which means, of course, that you will also have the South Node in Leo. We're going to talk about what this might mean for your past lives and also your future evolution as a soul. Right. Julia, what do the nodes mean in general?
Okay, so the nodes in the birth chart cut a path of destiny across the chart. They're not actual planetary bodies, but they have to do with the moon's ecliptic. So the South Node, the one that looks like a little U figure, represents your past life experiences, your karma. And if you're not into the concept of past lives and karma, then think about it as your early life conditioning in this lifetime. So the South Node often represents old familiar territory. It tends to be very comfortable for you. It's your home turf. And the South Node moves away from itself towards the North Node, that upside down U shape. And the North Node represents your destiny path, where you should be heading, the direction that your soul is really headed in this lifetime. Now, versus the South Node, the South Node, because it's so comfortable, it tends to be a place where we can easily stagnate. It's just so comfortable, so familiar. We just don't want to get off our butts and evolve away from it. And if we're feeling scared, we can even kind of cling to it a little bit too much as well. But it is actually stuff that you need to let go of. It's past material. Now, the North Node, in contrast, tends to be a little bit scarier. It tends to feel a lot riskier, a lot more unfamiliar. But it's also the part of your chart that is the most exhilarating, really, because once you start getting it right, you're kind of like, yes, I am making a quantum leap forward in my life. Like I'm moving past my karma, or I'm moving past, early conditioning that I have that's just kind of kept me in the same subroutine forever. And I'm really starting to move ahead. And it can speak a lot to our life purpose as well as our future. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something about that feeling of rightness when you're headed into your North Node that's different from the feeling of comfortableness, if you know what I mean. So having the South Node in Leo suggests that you're drawing on many past lives spent at the very center of things. You might have been a creative person, drawing people to you into salons or collectives that centered on your own creativity and probably your own ego too. You might have been a power center in your own community or region, possibly even nobility or royalty, the person whom culture cohered and rallied around, and who was responsible for leading the group and being their inspiration. In some lives, receiving this much attention and even adulation was delightful for you, but in other lives, being under this kind of scrutiny didn't work out for you so well. You may have been surrounded by flatterers who puffed up your ego until your confidence in yourself was completely unrealistic. But this theme of being at the center of power was a common one. In this life, to truly evolve with your North Node in Aquarius, you've got to decentralize power. Let go of the need to receive notice, praise, and adulation, and instead spread the attention around the group as a whole. Let go of the need to be at the center of things. Instead, also, oh God, what the hell? Did I not clean up this fucking paragraph? Okay, let me read this paragraph over to myself. Need to receive the center of things. Okay, I'm going to start this paragraph over. In fact, I'm going to start this whole section over so that it really flows. Having the South Node in Leo suggests that you're drawing on many past lives spent at the very center of things. You might have been a creative person, drawing people to you into salons or collectives that centered on your own creativity and probably your own ego too. You might have been a power center in your own community and region, possibly even nobility or out and out royalty, the person whom culture cohered and rallied around, and who was responsible for leading the group and being their inspiration. In some lives, receiving this much attention and even adulation was delightful for you, but in other lives, being under this kind of scrutiny didn't work out for you so well. You may have been surrounded by flatterers who puffed up your ego until your confidence in yourself was completely unrealistic. But this theme of being a center of power was the commonality across these lives. In this life, to truly evolve with your North Node in Aquarius, you've got to decentralize power. Let go of the need to receive notice, praise, and adulation, and instead spread the attention around the group as a whole. Let go of the need to be at the center of things. Also, let go of the fiery inspiration and charisma of Leo, and instead exemplify the objective, rational, cool, and experimental qualities of Aquarius. As you evolve, discover your tribe and allow yourself to sink into an experience belonging to something greater than yourself. Bring your people along as you continue evolving. Follow your head, especially when your heart leads you into swampy counter-evolutionary territory. We've got a couple of charts as examples, and Julia, you're going to do the first one. Switching over the screen share. And tell us about how Albert Einstein's nodes are reflected in his chart.
Oh my God, he is like the perfect example for this. So Albert Einstein, was a literal genius. And in fact, he's something of an icon or gold standard when we actually think about what genius is. So clearly, he's really lived into his Aquarian North Node in a very, very powerful and compelling way. So excelling in math and physics, I think especially at a young age, his success in science has much to do with his intellectual and scientific skill. And that's very North Node in Aquarius. And it has as much to do with creativity and play, which was his South Node in Leo too. So he believed that, quote, the spirit of learning and creative thought was lost in strict rote learning, end quote. So at age 12, he discovered his own original proof for the Pythagorean theorem and started teaching himself calculus, which is just insane. He became convinced at this young age that nature could be explained in mathematical structures. And in the later part of his career, he opposed the direction of the theory of quantum physics was going in and became increasingly isolated from mainstream modern physics, which is kind of a reflection of his Leo South Node's capacity for stubborn individualism and willingness to kind of stand out from a crowd. Ever divergent from the norm, Einstein was a German Jew, but he opted to also be agnostic, calling himself, quote, a deeply religious non-believer, end quote.
Talk about not fitting the mold, right?
Oh my God.
So I've got another example of somebody who didn't fit the mold, and that's Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday was an American jazz singer whose original and groundbreaking vocal style pioneered new ways of manipulating phrase and tempo. She's an example of how someone who has the nodes in square to the midheaven, which you can see right here, the nodes. Here's the midheaven at 24 Scorpio. It squares those nodes pretty precisely. So that's a pretty strong marker. For somebody who can feel like a person with a destiny, who feels a strong sense of purpose and the need to be oriented to it. She began singing in nightclubs in Harlem and was catapulted to sudden mainstream success. That sounds like a Uranian Aquarian thing to me. Her producer had never before encountered a woman who sang like an improvising jazz genius. Instead of the music being the backdrop for her voice to appear on, her voice was an instrument in the band. This was a massive innovation at the time. She was also a political figure. The song that catapulted her to fame was Strange Fruit, effectively a protest song describing the victims of lynching as strange fruit hanging from trees. The song was revolutionary and struck a strong chord with the zeitgeist. A sense of duty to the collective kept her singing it despite her own personal pain around her father's death. Sadly, She died at 44, really young, with health broken by drugs and years of involvement in relationships characterized by abuse and dominance, reflected in that South Node in Leo here in the 7th house of relationships.
Wow.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If you have the North Node in Aquarius, this video is designed to help you find your evolutionary path and get on it, and to steer away from the path of stagnation that is your South Node in Leo. You'll find more great North Node videos like this one on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, gathered together into a single node playlist. Thanks for watching this video to the end, and if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel. You can find us at pandoraastrology.com, and we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye.